Howdy folks, and welcome to the Hillbilly Kitchen. Today we're making loaded baked potato soup. This is a really simple soup with basic ingredients. Now, of course, I said loaded potato soup. So for a loaded baked potato, you need cheddar cheese, bacon, and sour cream. And I recommend about a strip of bacon per potato. And I've got 4 potatoes here for my soup. And we also need some milk. 3 to 4 cups of milk. It's going to kind of depend. I'm using whole milk. You can use evaporated milk. You can use some half and half and milk. You could use all half and half. You can put some heavy cream in it. Whatever you want. You just are going to need 3 to 4 cups of some kind of milk. So let's start by starting our bacon. Now we're just going to throw this bacon in the pan and crisp it up. Now we're going to need a couple other basic things for our soup to flavor it. Some finely chopped onion. I've got 2, and they were kind of small. They were only about this big. You need a good sized onion because most of the flavor in this soup is going to come from the onion. And you can use these little bacon pieces that are already made for your bacon, or you could use some of this pre-cooked bacon. And you can even keep some of these if you want extra to put on top of it, or you can put more bacon in your soup so you've got more to crumble and go on top of it, whatever. And just a little salt and pepper to finish seasoning it. But I wanted to show you these other bacons because you can use this. And there's enough fat in this fully cooked bacon that if you crisp it up in your pot before you put your onions in, it'll have enough bacon grease in it to help season it. And we're going to put a little bit of butter in it because everybody likes butter on their baked potato. Like I said, just stuff that you use on a baked potato and basic stuff that you have. You should not need to go shopping to make this soup. Now, it's grilling season. So when you go out and you put the baked taters on the grill this weekend, throw you 3 or 4 extra taters on there and save them to make this soup. But since I don't have 3 or 4 leftover taters and I don't want to wait an hour to bake them in the oven, I'm going to poke some holes in them with a fork and I'm going to stick them in my microwave for 12 to 15 minutes. Kind of depends on how strong your microwave is, while I'm frying my bacon and my onions. I do recommend using like baked potatoes, not microwave baked potatoes for this, but the pre-cooked potatoes is going to make this soup a really fast, easy soup. And this is a good one for game day too. You know, when you got people sitting over watching football games and stuff in the fall, you can make this up and serve it while they're watching the football game, and everybody likes loaded baked potatoes. But just stick these in the microwave, like I said, 12 to 15 minutes. If you got a baked potato button, you can push that. But we want to cook them until they're soft. That way we don't have to cook them in the soup, and it makes it faster. It changes the flavor too. The real baked potatoes have a better flavor, but these are all right. All right, when you've got your bacon cooked until it's crisp, you don't want to burn it, just crisp it. Scoop it out and put it on some paper towels to let it drain, and then add your onions. And we want to saute these onions until they're kind of caramelized and brown. You could use onion powder in this if you wanted to. I mean, if you didn't have any onions or just didn't feel like chopping onions or didn't want to take the time, you can use onion powder. And if you're using the little, where did they go to? These. And you don't have any leftover bacon grease that you can put in here, you can put in just a little butter to caramelize your onions in, and that will work. But the bacon grease does add a lot of flavor to it, so if you've got bacon grease or a few pieces of bacon, I would definitely do the bacon grease. Now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add me, and now how much butter you put in this is kind of up to you. I had the 4 potatoes, but I did have a little bit of bacon grease in there. So my general rule of thumb is about a tablespoon of butter per potato, at least. And you can add a whole lot more than that if you like it. So I'm going to add about 3 tablespoons of butter in here. And go ahead and let my butter brown in with my onions. And these onions and the browned butter and stuff, that's going to give the soup a really nice color and a really nice flavor. While we're waiting on our potatoes to finish baking, I want to share Titus 2:13 with you. Looking for that blessed hope, the glorious appearing of the great God and our Savior Jesus Christ. Having that hope of looking forward to Jesus Christ coming for us makes all the tribulation that we face here on earth bearable. And it's what gives us our peace, the will to go on, the ability to face those things without them defeating us and totally crushing us. The ability to get up and continue on, because we know all the things of this earth are only temporary, and that Jesus is coming and He's going to get us and take us to live in God's house with Him forever. So imagine, if you will, for just a moment, your life without that hope. Living life where there's no end in sight ever. It's always going to continue like this. You're going to climb up out of the hole, and then you're going to go down into another one. You're going to climb up out of the hole, and there's never that hope of eternity. There's not that hope of Jesus coming to rescue you and take you away. Now, if there's anything that will brighten your day, it should be remembering that you have that hope, that Jesus is there. But if you know someone who does not have that, if there's someone in your life who just doesn't believe, they don't understand, that should fill you with an urgency to share that hope with them. And my prayer today is that all of you who have that hope, all of you who know that your Savior Jesus Christ is coming to get you, that you have that hope in His appearing, that you share that with someone you know who doesn't. Because it truly does make life bearable when you have hope. And life without Jesus is life without hope. So if you have Jesus in your life, if you know it, share it. Well, our butter's definitely browned and our onions are caramelized. Now, some of y'all who make soups on a regular basis, you are probably asking, where's her flour at? What's she going to make her roux out of? Should she be adding some flour to that? I'm not going to add flour to it. I'm going to thicken it with one of my potatoes. I'm going to put one of them, peel one of them and put it in here and mash it up with my onions and my butter. And then that will thicken my whole pot of soup. And then the other three I'm going to chunk up so I have some chunky potatoes in my soup. Okay, once you have one potato peeled, and they are going to be hot, you can throw that in your pot with your onions and your butter and your bacon grease and just kind of mash it up with your old-fashioned tater masher. If you don't have an old-fashioned tater masher, you can put it in like a sandwich bag or just about anything and mash it up in a sandwich bag and then dump it in there. You can put it on a saucer or in a shallow bowl and you can mash it up with a fork. Just whatever you can find. If you ain't got a tater masher, just find something that'll mash it. Once that's done, I'm going to let that cook just a minute before I add my milk. And as soon as the milk gets heated, then our soup will be ready. So you can have this on the table on a weeknight, you know, if the kids have got school activities or you're trying to get them out the door to go to church on a Wednesday night, in less than 20 minutes for sure. Have the kids scrub the taters up and microwave them, and while they're doing that, you can chop the onions and get it going, and literally in just a few minutes you can have it ready. Okay, now I'm just going to add my milk. I'm going to add about half a cup or so of sour cream to this. You don't have to put any sour cream in it when you cook it if you don't want to. You can save the sour cream and serve it with a little bit of sour cream and a little bit of shredded cheese on top of it. But I'm going to put a little bit in here just to make this a little bit richer and creamier. because it will certainly do that. When you are peeling your potatoes, I don't know if you can see this or not. If you see green under the skin like this, if you can see it, that's chlorophyll. And it's where the potato was exposed to sun, either before it was dug or while it was being packed up and shipped to the grocery store. And that will make your soup very, very bitter. So you need to peel down until you get past that and get all that green stuff off. You don't want to put that in your soup. All right, now once you've got all your potatoes in there and you've got your sour cream, if you chose to put it in there, and you certainly don't have to, we're going to add about a cup of cheese to the soup. And then you, of course, will want a little more cheese to serve with it on the table, and probably a little more sour cream and maybe some extra bacon bits. And we're going to add our bacon back into it, and you might want some extra bacon to serve on the top of it. Just about a cup of shredded cheese in there, about 4 ounces if you're shredding it off the block. And off the block cheese is far creamier than this ready-made stuff. But the other day they had the ready shredded stuff on sale, and it is quicker if you're trying to get dinner on the table on a weeknight. And I'm going to serve salt and pepper on the table. I'm going to put about half a teaspoon of pepper in it and about half a teaspoon of salt, which is probably not going to be enough for everybody. It will be enough for some folks, but I'll have some on the table and folks can add it as they like. You don't need to make a flour roux, which makes it gluten-free for folks with celiacs or gluten intolerance. And just crumble my bacon up and add it back in there. So at least a slice per potato, and you can do more if you want to do more. And that is thick, and it is hot, and it is done, and that's it. Now, if you've got, of course, leftover potatoes off of the grill, which I highly recommend because the flavor is so much better, then, you know, gosh, you can have this meal on your table ready to serve in 10-15 minutes. And on those nights where you're trying to get the kids ready to go to ball practice, or you're trying to get them ready to go to church on Wednesday night, and you've had school and everything this winter, meals like this are kind of important. But you can see how thick and rich and creamy that is, and how big or how small your potato chunks are just entirely up to you. And if you've got folks on a low salt diet, just leave it out and serve it all on the table, because this is one of those dishes that you can put the salt in after it's completely done. But that's all there is to a rich, creamy, warm pot of loaded baked potato soup or loaded potato soup. Very rich, very thick, very creamy, no flour, so it's gluten-free, and it's just pure warm goodness. Save this recipe, make it all fall and winter, and even in the summer when you need a quick meal, this is a good one. I want to thank y'all so very much for joining us in the Hillbilly Kitchen, and I want to thank you for all your support over the years. If you have not already, please don't forget to click like and subscribe before you leave. Share our videos with all your friends, and until next time, remember to put God first.